What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. And it's that time of the year, guys. The Iron Bowl, Alabama versus Auburn. Alabama hosts Auburn at home, and I'm gonna give my prediction for the game. But if you haven't, guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And by doing so, it greatly helps out my channel and it helps me grow as a content creator. It's gonna be an exciting matchup, guys. It's always exciting. Both teams, no matter what their record is at the end of the year, uh, you can throw the records out the window. Uh, just two teams are fighting it out for the uh, victory in the home state. And I'm gonna start off with the stats. Of course, Bryce Young so far he's thrown for 2,664 yards. He has 24 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Like I said, kind of last couple of games kind of looked like he was struggling a little bit. I don't know if his arm is still, shoulder is still injured, but missing, easy, routes normally that he would see, early in the season. And I think he's playing injured, but nevertheless, Alabama still wins the games, and it's going to be an interesting matchup, and he's going against Robert Ashford. So far he's thrown for 1,536 yards and 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Like I said, not good stats. Um, Definitely a dual threat though. Like he can run the ball. That's what he's really really good at. If a play breaks down, he can take off, and that's going to be problems for Alabama's defense. Um, he's kind of like Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels is a better overall quarterback than Robbie Ashford, but he has those legs that can give Alabama's defense a problem. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does in this matchup. Of course, Alabama has Jamar Gibbs. He's ran for 774 yards, 6 touchdowns. He didn't play last game. I think he got an injury. I think he hurt his ankle or something like that. So I'm not sure if he'll play in this game. Alabama does has Jace McClellan and Rodell Williams. Jace McClellan has definitely stepped up his game the last couple of games. Uh, Definitely the go-to back right now. He can run hard. He got speed. He could take it to the house. If he has a seam. Of course, Auburn has Tank Bigsby. This guy is a beast of a player. He has 907 yards with 10 touchdowns. Uh, Alabama's going to have to stop the run for Auburn. Auburn is a really, really good rushing team. Like I said, with Tank Bigsby and Ashford running the ball, it's going to be a tough task for the Alabama defense to stop. Of course, Alabama has Corey Brooks. Looks like he's the guy for Alabama that they're throwing to for the most part. He has 547 yards for 6 touchdowns. Alabama also tries to get Jermaine Burton, involved, and he's been stepping up lately. He hasn't really shined, like how we expected him to do, but definitely get him some receptions. Alabama has a lot of wide receivers, but Alabama's wide receiver core just hasn't been consistent this season, and it's going to be interesting going in this matchup against this Auburn defense. Of course, Auburn has Javarius Johnson. He has 473 yards with 2 touchdowns. So both teams have players, guys. Both teams have some elite players on both sides, and it's going to be a matchup. Points per game, Alabama's averaging 40 points per game. Auburn's averaging 24. So Alabama has a massive advantage in the points per game category. Points allowed per game, Alabama's just allowing 17.2. Auburn's allowing 27.7. So once again, Alabama has the advantage. Total yardage, Alabama's averaging 471.8 total yards per game. Auburn is averaging 377. So like I said, once again, advantage goes to Alabama. If you were to break that down, Alabama's averaging 272 through the air, and they're averaging 199 on the ground. So that's really, really good for Alabama offense, considering, the offensive struggles that they've been having. But in my opinion, the play calling is kind of suspect. Auburn is averaging 181 through the air and 195 on the ground. So both teams are able to run the ball when they want to. Nothing necessarily seen that way with Alabama though at times. Sometimes, I don't think Alabama runs the ball consistently enough to know if we're a really good rushing team. So the stats say we are, but it doesn't look that way on film, in my opinion, because we primarily pass the ball. So But it's going to be interesting. We know for a fact that Auburn runs the ball really, really well. It's primarily their offense. They don't really pass it too much. And while I'm saying that, yards per passing for Auburn, they averaging 181 through the air. So like I said, and 195 on the ground. So it's understood that Auburn runs the ball better, in my opinion, better than Alabama at this point. Yards allowed, Alabama is allowing 303 yards per game. Auburn's allowing 384 per game. So all the advantages go to Alabama on the stat sheet. Pass yards for Auburn, they're allowing 211 through the air and 172 on the ground. Like I said, that's a huge number on the ground to allow, for a rushing team to get, 172 yards a game. That's bad. On the other hand, Alabama's only allowing 195 through the air and 107 on the ground. So Alabama has all the advantages, but we're gonna throw all the stats out the way. I'm gonna look at the games between each teams. Of course, Auburn beat they lost to Ole Miss 48-34. They was in that game. Auburn was able to run the ball. We find out that Ole Miss can't really stop the run, so that's why Auburn was able to win. Not win that game, but be able to hang around in that game against Ole Miss. They lost to Arkansas 41-27. They lost to Mississippi State, but it was close. Cornell Williams stepped up as the interim head coach, and they almost pulled out the victory at Mississippi State, guys. Mississippi State beat them 39-33 in overtime, but Auburn was right there. They got some momentum, and it was almost close to winning that game. And then, of course, they beat Texas A&M 13-10. Texas A&M at this point is depleted. I think A-Chain didn't play that game. Texas A&M had some guys that was injured that game, so Texas A&M wasn't at full strength, but Auburn still nevertheless got the victory, a close victory. And then, of course, they beat Western Kentucky last week, 41-17. I didn't really watch that game, but I don't want to speak on it because I didn't watch it. But I think I read somewhere where, Auburn wasn't, they're kind of struggling in that game a little bit at first, but nevertheless, they won the game 41-17. And probably, games like that, especially when, teams got more, better talent on the team. Primarily, it's kind of hard for teams to get up for, Western Kentucky, but no excuses though. You got to play everybody, but Auburn beat them 41-17. On the other hand, Alabama beat Arkansas early on in the season, looked good the first half. Bryce Young got hurt. That was the game he got hurt. Arkansas fought back in the game and made it a game in the third quarter, but Alabama took it away in the fourth. Jalen Miro played pretty good that game, And then, of course, Alabama went on the road to Tennessee, lost 52-49. Defense just could not stop Tennessee's offense that game. And Alabama didn't make any adjustments, but you got to give credit to Tennessee. And Tennessee did what they're supposed to do, and they got the victory that game. Then Alabama bounced back against Mississippi State, beat them 30-60. 30-6. I'm sorry. We played Eli Ricks, a guy that we haven't played all season, and he came in and definitely helped against Mississippi State. But also that game in Mississippi State, Alabama's defense, they did pretty well, but Alabama's offense struggled in the third quarter. I don't think Alabama scored at all in the third quarter that game. And that's my issue with Alabama. The offense sputters at times, So in my opinion, that's Alabama's main issue. They have a lot of issues, but that's their main issue. The offense is not a well-oiled machine right now. Then, of course, went on the road to LSU and lost 32-31 in overtime. Game, like I said, Jaden Daniels was able to run the ball effectively. LSU was able to rush the ball really, really good, and that's a concern going into this matchup against Auburn. Like I said, LSU can run the ball, so is Auburn, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this matchup. Then Alabama beat Ole Miss on the road, 30-24. Ole Miss got out to a good start. It looked like Ole Miss was going to run away with it, but Alabama stepped up in the second half, and they stepped on the gas, and they was able to push out the victory, and the Alabama defense stepped up when it needed to. So Ole Miss was able to rush against Alabama in that game as well. The stats showed that they got a lot of rushing yards, but Alabama made adjustments. So, like I said, another rushing team that can run the ball, and we're going against Auburn. And then, of course, Alabama beat Austin Peay 34-0, a team that they should have beat. So, I'm looking at the spread. I've seen somewhere it's as high as a 27-point spread for Alabama. Uh, that's insane to me. I'm looking at this spread. It's saying 21.5. If I had to give my predictions for this game, of course, I'm gonna pick my Alabama Crimson Tide, but by how much? I don't think it's gonna be 21. But I wrote the score down. I got Alabama winning 31-17. I don't think Auburn. A lot of people look at the Mississippi State game and they think, okay, Auburn was able to fight back and come back from a deficit. Auburn was able to do that because they was able to rush the ball, I believe. And this Alabama defense, even though they've significantly got worse since the beginning of the season as far as the rush defense, Alabama still has a great rush defense. And Auburn's offense is run off the, rushing the ball. And I know these last couple of games, these teams were able to run the ball. I think this game is going to be close at first. And I think Robert Asher is going to be able to extend drives. But at the end of the day, I think Alabama will make the necessary adjustments to be able to stop the run when they need to, just like they did against Ole Miss. They did it late, but they was able to do it. It's a rivalry game. Both teams going to be up for the challenge. Auburn's going to throw the kitchen sink at us. I already know it. But I think Alabama being at home, I think they're having an advantage there. And it's fighting, bragging rights for the state of Alabama. And I think Alabama's going to pull it off. I could definitely, I know I said 31-17, but I'm going to give another score. I could definitely see this being 27-24. So it's either 27-24 Alabama or 31-17 Alabama. It just depends on which Alabama team shows up, But that's all I have for the video. If you haven't, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll definitely be back with more college football content. Thanks, guys, and roll tide.